That's where the men's washrooms are. The ladies' washrooms are on the same floor on the other side. Fire exit are at the back, here, as well as over here. These are the 3 fire exits. Now, once again, thank you for attending today's program. And I do hope you have a wonderful time. Now, I would like to invite the coordinator to introduce our speakers. Dr. Khalid Chauhan.
Yes. Thank you, Brother Shehzad, honorable guests, community leaders, members. Assalamu alaikum. It is both a privilege and a pleasure to stand before you to introduce distinguished politicians and dedicated community leaders. It is also a great honor that NDP leader Mr. Jagmeet Singh will join us today in about 1 hour. Maybe less time because we started late. He is MP candidate in Vancouver South. Please warmly welcome him when he arrives here. Mr. Jagmeet's leadership and vision inspires us to fight for the political rights of ordinary people and human rights around the world. For his remarkable contributions, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Mr. Jagmeet Singh. Let me introduce other leaders and MP candidates, those who have joined us today. We were expecting Member of Parliament and MP candidate Vancouver, Don Davis, he'll be here soon. And we were expecting Member of Parliament and NDP candidate Westminster Burnaby Peter Julian, he'll be here soon. He was invited. And we have a NDP candidate for South Burnaby Manoj Bangu. He is here. Please welcome him. We also have former BC NDP MLA Mr. Aman Singh. He is sitting here. Please welcome him. We have a scholar, professional engineer and community leader, Dr. Ravi Meri. He is among us. Please welcome him. We have other distinguished Muslim community leader, director and Unified Muslim Association of BC, Secretary of Pakistan Canada Association, Mr. Raza Melani. Please welcome him. We also have Mr. Amir Khan from Pashtun Cultural Association. They are here with a big group and they are supporting Jagmeet Singh. Please welcome him. I warmly welcome you all and thank you for your commitment to community service and dedication to building a better tomorrow. Sorry, because they were not listed, so I missed a couple of distinguished individuals from Muslim community, and they definitely have very lot of contribution, and I have seen their lifelong dedication and activation for the Muslim community. And one of them is Mr. Harun Khan, President of Pakistan Canada Association, and we have Mr. Mahmood Awan. He's senior community member and community activist, and we appreciate his lifelong dedication and activation for the Muslim community. He's among us. And we have another distinguished guest, I forgot his name, is Maulana Sarfaraz is among us. Please welcome him. I want to welcome you all and thank you for commitment to the community service and dedication to building a better tomorrow. As a representative of community and political ideology, our gathering signifies a strong commitment to democracy, human rights, cooperation and progress. Let us remember that every voice matters. The challenge we face, those required to listen, learn and collaborate. Together, we have the power to create real change and uplift the life of those we serve. We must also raise our voice for those who are victims of exploitation and violence. And let's make this gathering not just a meeting of minds, but a catalyst for political change that wins rights of ordinary people of Canada and brings justice for all. Thank you all. Wish you a purposeful evening and Jazakallah khair. So there's another announcement after Mr. Jagmeet will be here in a minute. So I thank you, Shazad. Please come over and thank you.
At this point, I would like to invite Mr. Don Davies to speak for a few minutes. If you want to address the gathering over here, please.
Assalamu alaikum. It is an honor and a privilege and always a pleasure to come join you today. Thank you all for inviting us into your mosque, and thank you all for coming here tonight on a Friday night to share some moments with us and allow us to share our ideas with you about a better country. I am so proud that MAC is located in the heart of my riding of Vancouver Kingsway. It is a very vibrant, proud, and important part of our community, not only providing a place of gathering as Muslims gather to practice your faith, but also you are an important part of our larger community and culture, sharing the wonderful ideals of the Prophet and your example of truth and justice, of generosity, of good citizenship, and of sharing with all of us. We have so much to learn from Islam and from all of you. I just want to say a couple of things. We're in the middle of a federal election, and we are practicing democracy here in Canada. And one issue that I think is very important for us to talk about this election is Canada's foreign policy. And it hasn't gotten very much attention, this campaign. We've been focusing on the existential threat from Donald Trump, United States, but also right now as we speak and gather here in peace and security, our sisters and brothers in Gaza and in the occupied West Bank are suffering under an apartheid system and they're experiencing a genocide. And we know that. And what's remarkable to me is that there's still politicians in Canada who won't even use that word. Even though the International Court of Justice, after hearing from the South African case, hearing the evidence and reviewing it, has issued an interim decision ruling that a provisional case for genocide has been made out and ordering Israel to take steps, and they have violated every single order issued by the International Court of Justice. Canada, we claim, we're proud, we say that we're a country that follows the rule of law, that we are supposed to be a member of the international rules-based order. We are a signatory to the Convention Against Genocide, which obligates us as a country not to take steps when we are warned that one may be taking place. We don't have to wait until the genocide has actually been taking place. We act before that happens. And I want to say, that's okay, that I am proud. I don't know if any of you saw the debate the other night, but I am so proud that the New Democratic Party of Canada has the only leader who brought up what's going on in Gaza and in the occupied West Bank, and who used the word genocide, because that's what it is. And we, as New Democrats, will always stand on the side of justice and human rights and international law, and we're elected We will continue to press for all of the measures that we know all people of good conscience from all faiths should do, which is to recognize the state of Palestine, which is to halt, we need to boycott and halt all arms that are going to Israel, two-way trade both ways. We need to support the cases before the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court, where an arrest warrant has been issued for Benjamin Netanyahu and other members of his cabinet. I have been to the West Bank. I have been to Ramallah. I have been to El Hanil, and I have seen the apartheid wall. I have seen the way Palestinians are treated, and I can tell you that we need to boycott all services and products that come from illegal settlements in the West Bank and Gaza, and insist that those settlements And I also saw the great work done by UNRWA, it's a United Nations group. You know, there is no more objective, neutral force in this world than the United Nations. And I toured a school where children were being taught by United Nations Relief Force Agency, UNRWA. And I was in part of it when the liberals cut off funding to UNRWA in the middle of the Israeli airstrikes. And it was the New Democrats who shamed them, led by our leader, Jagmeet Singh, who forced the liberals to restore that funding. But that's not enough. We can't just restore the funding. We need to increase the funding. And we need to put pressure, international pressure, on Israel to come to the bargaining table and resolve the root cause of this long-standing issue, which is Palestinians deserve a sovereign, secure, a viable state and pre-67 borders, just like the United Nations ordered, and they have a right to that. And we won't stop until Palestinians are walking free in their own viable, secure, peaceful state. You know, if this was the Oscars, I would hear music playing now. But I've been giving a message that it's my turn to sit down. So thank you again for letting us be here. Thank you for all the work you do in our community to help make Canada a better place. I want to work together with you, sisters and brothers, hand in hand, to make Canada a more just, more compassionate, more equal place for everybody. We will fight Islamophobia here in Canada, and we'll fight for equal rights for everyone around the world. Thank you so much.
I would like to introduce a long-term community member that we have. I don't think he needs any introduction, but it's better than for our guest, Dr. Ali Mehri. He's a PhD in electrical engineering from BBC. He's been a former president of the British Columbia Muslim Association, which is the largest Muslim association in British Columbia, twice. He's served 2 terms. He's the founder of the Christ Islamic School in Surrey. And if you remember Christ Islamic School at one point in time, when he was heading it, was ranked one of the best schools in British Columbia according to the Fraser Institute. And he is also a former cabinet minister, the energy cabinet minister from Libya in the transition government. So maybe just welcome Brother Ali Mehri.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, I'll be very quick. And I think Muslims are gathering here today basically because of the Palestinian issue. Our community has interacts with all the government levels, from municipal to provincial to federal, of course. But what we care about is our brothers and sisters in Palestine. A lot of people think that the recent issues in Gaza is all because of October 7th, 2023. The issue is not there, actually. The issue has started before 1947. 80% of the population of Gaza, actually, they were living in Haifa and Yafa and in central Palestine, and they were forced to go to Gaza. It is the most concentrated place on earth. Like you see, Camp of Jabalia and Shuja'iyya, they are all people driven out of their homes to Gaza. It is the highest concentration of youth. And what happened is those people, they needed to return back to their homeland. The Palestinian Liberation Organization, they signed Oslo Accord 40 years ago to divide, according to the United Nations division in 1948, Israeli state and Palestinian state. Israel did not want a two-state solution. And they have been fighting this for 40 years, and they occupied the West Bank and Gaza, and actually they are continuously bombarding Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, Iraq, parts of Egypt, Iran, everywhere. And with what? With the weapons given to them for free by the United States, primarily, and the West in general, including Canada. We have to be very honest. Canada, since 1948 until recently, have always stood with the United Nations position, liberals or conservatives. Now, the new leader of the Conservative Party is saying it loud and clear. He is going to move the Canadian embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a divided city, divided by the United Nations, and he's going to follow what Donald Trump has done in his first term. Liberals, after October 7th, liberals also followed the same, and the ex-liberal leader said very clearly that he is a Zionist and he is supporting Israel. And they continued actually to export arms to Israel until today. They did not really put full embargo on Israel yet. I know they still exporting the Iron Dome parts to Israel until today. They did not stop that. We Muslims actually learned from this. We learned that on the federal level, only the New Democratic Party is actually standing for freedom, standing for human rights, standing for the United Nations resolutions on Palestine. And thank you to Mr. Jagmeet Singh for standing tall on this. And he has supported human rights and supported the people of Gaza of what's happening in the province. And as one of the Muslims in British Columbia, actually, we pray that no majority government is formed from this election. We hope that it's going to be a minority government by the Liberals so that the NDP can always stand for human rights, for freedom, for the people of Gaza, and for the United Nations resolutions. I think, I personally, I can say it loud and clear, I am voting for Mr. Jagmeet Singh and his team, and I urge the Muslim community to do the same. There is no point whatsoever for the Muslim community to vote liberals because we have been deceived, we have been laughed on by the liberals all this time that they are standing with us, but in reality they are not. To me, liberals and conservatives are the same coin, just depends how you look at it. Some, they say it in front of you, in your face, that they don't like you, they hate you, and they are with Israel all the way. Some, they give you nice words, but under the table, they are doing the opposite. I would like to urge everyone here to take a stand on this election, and we're hoping that the results will be in favor of human rights, in favor of the United Nations resolutions, to support the people of Gaza and support the people of Palestine and stop apartheid in the so-called state of Israel and go for the two-state solutions. By this, Thank you very much, and I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart, the NDP MPs and the leader of the NDP, and we are hoping that the results of this election, inshallah, will be in the favor of human rights and the favor of freedom. Thank you very much.
Now we would like to invite man of the hour, Mr. Jagmeet Singh himself. Come on up. I see him every week, that's why.
Assalamu alaikum. It's an honor to be here. First, I want to say, I'll just hold this. First, I want to say thank you to the Muslim Association of Canada for the advocacy work they do. They are a very prominent Muslim organization nationwide, holding many events, allow more engagement and civic participation. So I just want to thank the leadership and the organization of MAC. Thank you. I know a lot of people put today together, a lot of volunteers, a lot of people were involved. I want to thank all the volunteers. I know especially Zafa and Khalid did a lot of work, so can we give them a round of applause? So Dawn laid out a lot of our positions, and Doctor did laid out a lot of our positions. Thank you to you both. And just I want to reiterate, for me, I was trained as a lawyer. Before that, biology degree in science. I am very evidence-based and very rights-based. Those are my principles. And my mom taught me something when I was very young that's become a very fundamental part of who I am. She taught me that we are all one. And it was a foundational belief for me. The idea that if anyone around us is suffering, then we're also suffering. I remember she taught me this when we would do volunteer work, when we would hand out food, or we would do service. She would say, imagine the person you're serving is not a stranger. Imagine you're serving me, your mom. Imagine you're serving your father, or your brother, or your sister. Imagine you're actually caring for yourself when you serve someone else. And that stayed with me, and it's the foundation of why I believe if we see human rights violations against anyone in the world, it's our collective responsibility to say, no, that's wrong. It's our collective responsibility to stand up. And so for me, it was never really a debate. We were the first party to come out in North America, amongst the first political parties in the world, to call for a ceasefire and a release of hostages. We were the first party in the world to take that bold position early on, and it was not something very, very popular at the time. Because it was the right thing to do. I don't think anyone can watch the horror of what we saw in Gaza. The innocent lives being killed, children, families, fathers, mothers. To see that violence, to see that death, and not have your heart break. I think any human who saw that felt that way. And it is our responsibility to do something when we see our fellow humans in plight like that. And it is very discouraging. I think a lot of people felt disheartened to see that there was no action. No one stood up. Mostly governments stood silent. It was sad to see that. I think a lot of people lost hope. They lost confidence that in such a clear violation of human rights, nothing was done. So while I am proud that we took action, I know that any action feels insufficient given the gravity and the seriousness of what happened. But we did put a motion in Parliament demanding an arms embargo, demanding that Netanyahu be specifically sanctioned and his entire war cabinet be sanctioned, that the arrest warrants issued by the International Criminal Courts be executed, that we make a commitment that we would honor those arrest warrants. We made it very clear where we stand on this, and we're going to continue to fight for that because it's the right thing to do. And then, some people will say it's not important what to call it, it's horrible, it's a tragedy, but I think words do matter. And at this point, seeing the massive death toll, the clear violence and the sheer violation of human rights that the United Nations and other international bodies like the International Criminal Court have made it very clear that what's going on is beyond the realm of just atrocities and horror. And I think it's important to call out injustice for what it is. So I'm the only political party leader that has said that it is a genocide, that's what's going on, and it has to be recognized as one. If we want to stop it from happening, you have to call out injustice and name it if you want it to stop. And so you know where I stand on these things. My commitment will remain resolute. And so maybe I'll wrap up a couple of things. One is, the argument that was raised by, I keep on calling him doctor because you're a PhD, so I keep on calling you doctor. He made the argument that I actually want to make to you. That not in just this issue of human rights, but I would say, if you look at the history of Canada, our country has always been better when one party doesn't hold all the power. That all the greatest things that we are proud of as a nation, every single one, has happened when New Democrats had the ability to force the government to act. If you think about the most proud thing the Canadians say, they say we've got universal health care. That only happened because people voted for New Democrats and sent Tommy Douglas to Ottawa, and New Democrats fought for and delivered universal health care. So you being up there, this comes from the principle that we believe in looking out for one another. It's a Canadian value. And our pensions, our border security, all of this, these were the questions that are out there. The main category for us, sent us to Ottawa, we fought for delivery. And most recently, we've shown you that same tradition because you voted for, in this riding, Don Davies, because you sent New Democrats to Ottawa, we delivered dental care for millions of Canadians, seniors and kids. We delivered pharmacare, starting with diabetes medication and devices. We delivered anti-SCAP legislation, giving workers more power. We were only able to do this because you voted for New Democrats, you used your power to send us to Ottawa, and we fought for you. So in this government, or in this next election, I ask you again, this parliament will work best if one party doesn't hold all the power. If you send New Democrats, we will fight not just for human rights, but for every other issue that matters to working people, to the middle class. Send us to Ottawa and we will fight for you. We will challenge any government that doesn't defend human rights. We will fight back against any government that cuts the things that we care about. Send us to Ottawa with your power and we will stand up for you. And so maybe I'll leave it there, brothers and sisters. Again, it's a tremendous honor to be here. And I think there's some questions maybe that people have ready. I'm prepared to answer any questions you might have as well. Again, a great honor to be here. Should I stay on stage? Okay, I'll just stay here. I understand people have submitted questions, and so whatever your format is, I'm ready for the next phase. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. First of all, thank you, Mr. Singh. I know that yesterday you were in Quebec with the other three guys. I just want to make one comment, and it didn't come up yet. One of the questions that was posed by the moderator, the individual from the Conservative Party spoke about how when immigrants come to this country, they should leave their country politics behind. And they should leave that there, and they should not bring their kind of country beliefs or country politics here. And you, Mr. Singh, were the only person who said that immigration and multiculturalism was a strength of Canada and not a weakness. So I want to thank you, because I recognize that by you being the only leader that looks the way you do, right? And for us, we've all struggled with having to do a little bit more, and having to prove a little bit more, and say a little bit more, because we don't get the benefit of the doubt. And that's just the reality of the situation. So you being up there is a huge boost for all of us. And for you saying what you did, I thank you. So there's a series of questions that are out there, and the main categories that have come up, obviously, is the situation in Palestine. That is a huge one. The other one is around affordability. There's a lot of young people here today, and affordability around housing. And just cost of living is another one, whether it comes to healthcare and other issues. And the other one is one that I had the privilege of hearing Mr. Davies at an event with our brothers and sisters from Palestine. The whole idea that if you vote for the NDP, it's a wasted vote. And the idea that voting for the NDP is almost like it's just, don't bother doing it. And it's a narrative that has, I think, plagued the party since the beginning, because the big boys don't want there to be a third party. They want an American kind of polarized red and blue type of system. So that's the third question, and that'll come up a little bit later on. So I think we'll start with the question from Palestine, and I believe Sister Arwa will be the one asking that question.
Mr. Singh, I met you in your office about 2 months ago, and I remember I said to you, as a Palestinian, I thank you dearly for giving the Palestinians a voice. So thank you so much for standing tall, for calling it a genocide, when everyone else is scared to use that word. And my question is in that same area. So my question is, you've taken a bold and principled stand by calling the situation in Gaza a genocide. In doing so, you've gone against a deeply enriched, institutionalized anti-Palestinian narrative in the Canadian politics and media. Has taking this stance helped or hurt your party?
I appreciate the question. Thank you, and it's nice to see you again, sister. I can tell you honestly, I didn't think about it that way. I made the decision to take this position because it was the right thing to do, and I didn't look if this was going to help or hurt. And I don't know if it's going to help or hurt, but for me that doesn't matter. When there's certain things that are convictions, that are principles, I think you have to stand with your convictions and your principles, and that's what I did on this, and I'm not going to back down from that.
Thank you so much. And my follow-up question is, what gives you the courage to continue even when the cost is high?
This is something I guess that goes back to something my mom taught me, and we have this saying that is a very common saying. If you ask, it's almost casual. Like I thought it was something special that my mom always said, but it's actually very common. If you ask somebody in the Sikh tradition, you know, how are you doing, ki halat, they'll say charti kala. My mom said it all the time, charti kala, just kind of casual. And I didn't really understand what it meant, and I asked her to translate it and teach me about it. But basically, charti kala means rising spirits. But it doesn't just mean rising spirits any which way. It means even if the odds are against you, even if times are tough, even if things look hopeless, you have a defiant optimism. And that's what I have. I don't care what the odds are. I don't care what the challenges are. I never back down. I never give up. I'm always ready to fight. So it's a part of my spirit. I'm a fighter. I've been a fighter since I was a kid. I used to get in scraps because of the way I look. I took lots of martial arts, so I got good and I fought in the ring. I fought as a lawyer for my patient or my clients, not my patients. My mom always wanted me to be a doctor, so I failed in her eyes. But I fought for my clients, and then as a elected official, I always fought for the people I represent. So I'm a scrapper, I'm a fighter, and that's who I am, and I'm never going to back down.
Thank you so much. And I could say on behalf of the Palestinian community, I genuinely thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Sister Arwa. We'll move more to local issues and something around housing and affordability. And I'll ask Brother Bashar to ask that question.
Thank you. Welcome to Vancouver, Automat, Mr. Jagmeet Singh.
Thank you.
We know very well that the NDP has championed bold proposals like pharmacare and affordable housing that directly benefit lower income Canadians. How do you ensure that middle income earners who are also struggling with inflation, mortgage costs, and rising tuition don't feel left behind in this plan, especially those just above the line for public support? In other words, what is your plan for fighting this housing inflation crisis and to balance the budget deficit we have in Canada?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. I appreciate it very much. So our major focus is on affordability. This is a big concern for us. On the medication coverage, it's an expense for a lot of Canadians. Many people have to pay money out of pocket for their medication coverage. So the diabetes medication coverage and device coverage that's coming is for everybody. all income. It's a universal plan. It's going to be a part of expanding our healthcare system. So it's going to come to BC. BC has signed up for the program, and the program will start in BC in about just under a year's time. And so that means for anyone who needs diabetes medication or devices, that cost will be covered. Middle class families, anyone. So that's a cost saving measure. I look at childcare. As a dad, I got 2 young girls, and between my parent, my wife and I, sometimes we get help from our parents, but having childcare is really a big difference, and it's so expensive. Making that affordable is something we fought for. That's for the middle class. That's to make life more affordable. We specifically put out a number of things that we want to do. We want to take the GST off of essentials. It was always supposed to be off of essentials, but it's still charged on things like your internet, your cell phone, off your home heating. So we fought to remove it off of that. We got a GST pause, you might remember, over the winter time. We fought for that. That lowered costs for families. It actually brought down inflation for that period of time. Inflation ticked downwards because we provided that relief. So we're going to continue to push for a permanent removal of GST off of your monthly bills that are essentials. So these are some of the things that we're proposing. A tax cut for the middle class. And then the 2 biggest things, you mentioned housing. The 2 biggest things I hear are homes and groceries for the big costs. In groceries, we've got a very simple, straightforward plan. We know that a lot of the corporate grocery stores where you go shopping, you probably go to one of 5, Walmart, Costco, Loblaws, Metro, or Sobeys. These are the 5 major corporate grocery stores that most Canadians shop at. They are price gouging Canadians, meaning they're jacking up the prices and making higher and higher profits while Canadians can't afford their groceries. So our plan to stop them from price gouging, and just proof of that price gouging, they jacked up the price of bread, and they were found guilty of doing that. They recently jacked up the price of meat, where they used the packaging in addition to the weight of the meat, which is illegal. You shouldn't be doing that. The Competition Bureau found they were doing this again. So they're constantly price gouging us. So our plan is to put a price cap. You can't charge more than a reasonable amount for food essentials. Now some might say, well, how can you do this? France did it and Greece did it, and they both brought down food inflation, one by 15% in France, and in Greece they brought down food prices by 15%. So this is directly tackling the corporate greed to make life more affordable. It's a direct plan. We're not hoping to do this thing that trickles down here and trickles down there, like you might hear from Pierre Poilievre. We're talking direct. These guys are ripping you off. We'll put in a price cap to stop them. So that's our plan on that. It's a direct plan. And then on housing, it's more complicated, and anyone that says it's an easy fix is not being serious. I think it is a very complicated thing. But fundamentally, what's going on with housing is, housing as a market has been designed to make a rich investor rich. So if you've got lots of money, no problem. If you were able to buy a home 20, 30, 40 years ago, you're fine. But for the next generation, it's impossible. And if you build a whole bunch of new luxury condos or luxury homes, that's not going to fix the problem. Because even on a good salary, someone earning $200,000 a year, if the average cost of a home, a new build in the Lower Mainland is over $1 million, $1.2 million, how much do you have to save up with the cost of living as high as it is? Even with a good salary, it seems out of reach. I've met young people with good jobs who say, I can't buy a house, let alone someone who's got just an okay salary. So the only way we fix that is by changing the housing market so it works for people, not for rich investors. That's the fundamental shift. Some of the solution is we've got to build homes where we invest in the homes to bring the prices down. The government's got to make those investments. We're talking about using federal land. There's 3 costs when you build a home: the land, the labor, and the materials. Right? 3 costs. We own lots of federal land across the country, owned already by the federal government, but it's not being used for homes. So we want to use every bit of federal land that we own to build homes that people can actually afford to rent or afford to buy. So that's a part of our plan. We want cooperative house to give people a starting point so they can afford it, so people can save up to buy a home eventually. But we're looking at all the types of homes that people need, not just giving one solution only, but looking at all the solutions. So it's complicated, but we're really committed to it. I want my 2 girls to grow up. Hopefully they never leave the home, but if they do leave at one point, I want them to be able to afford their own place.
Thank you. The next question will be from Brother Tarek.
Jagmeet Singh, it's an honor to have you tonight with us.
Thank you.
Really is. Thank you. Thank you for coming. I think as a Canadian, who's been here for almost 35 years and have been through a lot of cycles, what you notice though is the system of voting in Canada, basically, I don't want to say forces people, but kind of direct people to vote strategically, not really based on values and conscience, to be honest, which limits the diversity within the parliament. Our Muslim community actually are a victim of that. Well, I don't want to say victim, they fall short into that problem. So I want two things from you, please. What are the steps or the mechanism that the NDP will do to basically ensure that the electoral or the actual voting system is reformed to the point that we have diversity within the parliament? And what would you advise the Muslim community that's been let down by the Liberals and they've been supported for many years on a lot of promises? If you could please tackle this.
I love that question. Yeah, thank you very much for the question. Great question. It's one of the big election questions that we're up against right now, so it's very, very important. Maybe just to take a step back and give you a reason. One of the strengths of Canada is we don't have a two-party system. We've always had, for a long time, multi-parties, and it's a strength of our country. I mentioned all the great things that have happened because we had the New Democrats that were there, Tommy Douglas I mentioned. So right now, if you look at the parties, if we take the issue, that one of the big issues that brothers and sisters brought up is Palestine. If you look at the Conservatives, one of the brothers mentioned UNRWA. Again, Doctor mentioned UNRWA. UNRWA is the United Nations, and Don mentioned it as well. The United Nations organization that is basically the only group that can provide relief, like food, shelter, medicine, healthcare to people in Gaza. It's the only real organization that can actually provide serious help on the ground. Now, Mr. Polyev has referred to UNRWA, a United Nations organization, as a terrorist organization. He literally has said that. That is inflammatory, that is dangerous, it fuels anti-Palestinian hate. It is a dangerous thing to say. And this is someone with a position, a platform, as a leader of a party. The Conservative Party leader, to say that, you can say there are some concerns, there needs to be investigation. I agree, I've said that as well. Of course, investigate any sort of allegations of inappropriate activity. We always want that. There should always be accounting and investigations into any sort of inappropriate behavior. That's okay to criticize, but to call the entire organization a terrorist group is so inflammatory and so hurtful and so harmful. It creates more divisions. And then on the other side, you have the liberal leaders. So that's if you care about the Palestinian issue of justice and equity and fairness, that's not a good choice. And then on the other side, we have Mr. Carney, who will not acknowledge what's going on for what it is. It is a genocide. International groups are pointing in that direction. Mr. Netanyahu is now being charged in the International Criminal Court for an arrest warrant because of crimes against humanity, and is going to should be arrested and tried on these things, and unwilling to call it what it is. So where are people left? If people just vote liberal or conservative, you're basically saying on this issue that it's not important. And without saying I support a party that takes a position I agree with, it sends a message in the political system that this is not a non-issue. So that's one way to make your voice be clear. Your voice does matter. If this matters to you, vote for the party that stands up for what matters to you. Because choosing one or the other is not good enough. Really, both those positions aren't strong enough. That's one. Secondly, if you want to be strategic and stop conservatives, re-electing New Democrats stops conservatives, right? Re-elect your New Democrat MP and you're stopping conservatives. So if you re-elect Don Davies, that is a strategic choice if you want to stop the conservative. Re-elected New Democrats who've already been there, who are the incumbents, re-elect them. That's a great decision. And then I would say, more and more what it's looking like is people are rejecting ultimately, and I'm happy that people have done this, they're rejecting the divisive words of Pierre Poilievre. More and more people looked at him, and we're seeing that people are coming away from him now. There's more and more a rejection of that, and it looks like people are moving more and more towards the liberals. But we know that liberals on their own will never do what people need. Even on the ceasefire, I can tell you that Justin Trudeau did not support a ceasefire, even though many other countries in the United Nations said let's vote in favor of a ceasefire. Canada is one of the few that voted against the ceasefire for a long time. I met with them, we did petitions, we raised questions, my members of parliament asked questions, I continue to put pressure on them, and because of your pressure as well as a community, together with your community support, with us being the only party in parliament pushing forward, we got Canada to finally vote in favor of a ceasefire. It shouldn't have been so hard that would have never happened but for New Democrats being there. So we need New Democrats there. That's the message. So the strategic thing to do is send New Democrats to Ottawa. The strategic thing to do is have people that have your values, have your principles, and are going to stand up and fight for you. Send them to Ottawa is the strategic thing to do. So if someone asks you why vote for NDP, say because who else is going to fight for me? Who else is going to stand up for me? Who else is going to stand up for my family and the things that matter most to me? On top of that, Mr. Carney's also talked recently more and more about cutting healthcare, cutting services. And he said it multiple times. In a time like now, we don't need cuts to our healthcare, we need to strengthen our healthcare. So if you want someone who's going to stand up and fight against that, send New Democrats to Ottawa. So that's how I would answer that question.
Perfect. So we have two more very quick questions, and then we also want to give you a chance to meet a few people as well. So the next question is by Brother Casas.
Ladies and gentlemen, and pleasure to meet you all, Dr. Saab, and especially Don and Jagmeet. Because today I've heard things, which really sound with so much conviction, and I wanted to thank you for all your kind words today, and it means a lot. And I'm going to ask you a question and a follow-up question as well. So, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms guarantees all Canadians the right to free expression, to protest, to assemble, to voice dissent, especially on matters of global injustice. Yet across Canada, students and workers are being punished, even fired simply for protesting or speaking out on Palestine. As someone who champions human rights, why aren't we seeing a stronger defense of these basic freedoms? What concrete steps will you take to protect the civil liberties of our protesters, particularly students and employees facing real consequences for exercising their rights?
Thank you so much for the question, and we've seen this a lot. We've seen this happen. As you mentioned, I'm sure all of us will have a story of someone involved in a protest that was either mistreated, faced with aggressive response, or like you mentioned, maybe face some jeopardy in the workplace or in their lives because of the simple fact that they exercise their democratic right. So as New Democrats, it's in our name, we believe in democracy, we believe it is your fundamental right to dissent. Protest is a part of a democracy, it should be protected, and we need to uphold the Charter. So we are going to continue to fight to say the Charter rights should be defended, people should have the right to free and fair dissent. This is a fundamental part of democracy, and we will always uphold that.
Thank you. My question is, also my full name is Qasim Khandal. I'm an independent journalist, and in the provincial election I was the first one to point it out that this is the speculated result, and the Muslim population will be the swing vote for the entire, because if somebody gets Surrey or Vancouver, that is who wins. So basically, I pointed out that as per Statistics Canada and linear regression, 175,000 population of the Muslim community. Why I'm telling you this? Because everybody's half-hearted. Should we stand with NDP because Jagmeet doesn't have time, Jagmeet is not accessible. So in front of all the Muslim community here today, I'm just trying to be, their voice. And I urge you to become a viable, loving voice. You and Don both, as you are here, and the others as well. So basically, they have somebody to reach out to. So I want to ask you, do you want 175,000 friends?
Who doesn't want good friends, of course.
Okay. And the last question is from Brother Richard.
All right, Mr. Jagmeet, thanks for coming today and supporting our community. I'd like to start with a comment and then a follow-up with a question. I like watching the Parliament sometimes when you guys stand up and fight for us. And one night, I think back in October, November, I saw one of your great warriors, Heather McPherson. She was wearing the half watermelon on her chest. and she was fiercely attacked by the conservatives in the parliament, which was shameful, even although she was standing for a good cause. So that touched me. And right after that, I sent her an email to thank her for standing up and for being strong. And I did actually contribute and donate the maximum I was able to do last year for her campaign. So I'd like to encourage everyone when they see something like this to send them a thank you, because they are doing a good job in the parliament, especially when they're attacked by the conservatives when they attack. So my name is Rahim Othman. I'm a founding member of Jasmine Alliance with TA. It's a grassroots Syrian-Canadian movement, which was formed when the regime has fallen down in Syria and the Syrian people were able to liberate their country. We're asking for lifting the unjust sanctions on Syria. We're also asking to help the Syrian people decide for their own future without foreign interference. My question to you, what will you do in the parliament when we send you to Ottawa, you and your team? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the question. We have seen that Western interference in the Middle East is not good for the people of the Middle East unless it's something that comes from the community, where the community makes it clear that it is a need or a demand. But we've seen interference many times from Western powers destabilize and create bad outcomes when it's not actually based on a grassroots desire from the community, when it's not coming from the people and it's imposed on them, the outcomes are bad. And so similarly, when it comes to Syrian self-determination, it should come from the Syrian people, and it should be free from foreign interference. We want to be free from foreign interference in Canada, and we want to respect that. We should respect that in other nations as well. So I would uphold that as a fundamental principle. We should not be interfering in countries, and we shouldn't interfere unless there is a specific request or a need to provide support or aid. That's the only way we should be able to engage.
How about lifting the sanctions that are imposed on the...
Yeah, there's Canadian sanctions as well.
There's Canadian sanctions as well as the US already.
I would look at those sanctions. I think that they should be, if it's any sanctions that are unjustly imposed on a country should not be there. So I would look more carefully at those sanctions and hear from you and hear from experts around what we should do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think that's all the questions. I'm going to pass the mic back here to my brother. Thank you so much. It's great to see you again as always.
Well, lastly, I would like to thank Brother Mohammed Kabal from MAC for providing us this venue. If it wasn't for his cooperation, this would not have been possible at the last minute, but thank you very much. And I would like to invite him to come and speak with the gathering.
Thank you everybody for attending this wonderful event. Actually, it's a pleasure to see everyone here. A special thanks to Jagmeet Singh, Mr. Jagmeet Singh, the New Democratic Party leader, and all the honored MPs from the New Democratic Party. I know, thank you everybody for I'd like to offer my special thanks for standing firm for truth and justice, while others declined and shied off. Don has been always, Don is the MP for Vancouver Kingsway. He has been always helping us whenever help is needed. I remember that one day, we started our very first blood campaign. He was supporting us. He was with us on the ground. Whenever help is needed from any community member, he's always there. He's already his help and support to the fullest. I remember last year we had a big problem while trying to organize our Eid events on the BC Place. He was there, he intervened, he did his best until we had this event last year, and it was a very successful event. So thank you very much. Thank you. And I hope you are here and wish you all the best in the coming election. Thank you.
Well, basically, this is time to conclude the program. If you still have any questions, we'll have some meeting Greet time.